This is the only thing you get for the lesson right here, and then you get practice for the quiz. All right. So again, distributive property, you should all know how to do that. When you get to, I tell you to show your work in a separate part to try to keep it a little bit cleaner so you don't be confused with a whole bunch of numbers in the middle of your problem. If you forget the rules, because we're still forgetting the rules, a lot of you are trying to do the rules when it's addition. These rules that I'm about to talk about are only for multiplication and division. You're adding two negatives, subtracting does not work. You got to do it a different way. So when I have a negative times a positive, we said if you have different signs, the answer is negative. Well, that's a negative. If you have the same sign, the answer is positive. Oh, I don't know the way that looks. There's also another way to figure it out. Use your calculator. Even if it's got an X in it. Like if that has an X in it, you're like, oh, I can't put an X in it. I can't figure out the sign. Well, yeah, you can. Just do it with the numbers. Just use the -3 and the +2. That's what determines the sign, really. You just need to remember at the end of the problem that those are X's, not just numbers. Don't forget that the X needs to be in there. So you can still use your calculator even when there's an X in there. So I expect positives, negatives, the math, addition, subtraction, multiplication. I expect that all to be correct now that you're using calculators. All right, next. I didn't do anything with 2x. Some people are somehow trying to get rid of that 2x. Now I just write the two answers I got. I write the positive 12 is plus 12. The negative 6x is subtract 6x. And then I just write the rest. And I've gotten rid of the parentheses. I've gotten rid of the -3, the 2x, the -4. I've used all of those. Shouldn't still be in the problem. Every once in a while, I see people that still have those in the problem for some reason. Holy cow. I think that was a sneeze. Bless you. So, anytime you have more than two terms on one side, you can combine something. So we have more than two terms on the left. Sometimes if you only have two things, you can still combine it. Like you'll see when you do the worksheet. How do we know what we can combine? They're called like terms, but how do we know what we can add together or subtract? So how do we know what's the same? And I don't even care for this class if it will change next year. Same letter or no letter. Always going to have a variable as the letter as the variable. We'll just, again, to get through the rest of this year, same letter or no letter. Those are the things you can combine. So, like Zeke said, we have the same letter. The reason we can combine them is those are all X's. It's 2 positive X's and 6 negative X's. So we can put them into one pile. Adding, combining, means putting them in one pile. Now, what's going to happen when you put them in one pile sometimes is some of them are going to cancel out. So we talked about a positive X canceling with a negative X. Same concept if they were just numbers. +1 would cancel with a -1. And by cancel, I mean it equals 0. -1 plus +1 is 0. So a positive X cancels with a negative X. Well, that's going to happen twice because we have two positives. So they'll cancel with two negatives. And we wind up with -4x. Or what you're really just doing is 2 subtract 6. Just remember those are x's. So now we say plus 12 greater than 9x. Let's see that. Now here's where it gets a little tougher. Well, I don't even know if I'd say tougher. You just got to remember what to do. If I have variables on both sides, what's the goal, by the way? What's solving for a variable? We want to get it by itself, right? If I have variables on both sides, I can't get it by itself. I can't get this x by itself and then over there get that x by itself. It's not possible. Because every time I do something over here, I wind up doing like adding something to this side. I'll never get x by itself if I do that. So if I said plus 11 and then said plus 11 here, but then I like did something on that side and it would just go back and forth. somehow you got to get the variables on the same side, or the best way to think about it is you got to get rid of them on one side. You can only have variables on one side when you're solving. I'm going to choose to get rid of the negative 4x. If you said subtract, actually, I'll do this 9x. I'll get rid of that. You'll get a negative, but that's fine. I'm going to say, well, I know how to get rid of a positive number. I just say subtract it. If I have 9x's and I want to get rid of 9x's, I take them away. I subtract them away. So whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other side. Now, again, you have to know how to combine that. If you're saying negative 4x, that's 4 negative x's. If you're saying negative 9x, that's 9 negative x's. Well, you're combining them. How many negatives do you have total? I've got 13. Or the math in the calculator, if you just practice it enough, you'll just know what to do, would be negative 4 subtract 9, not negative 4 subtract negative 9, negative 4 subtract 9. That would give you negative 13. Just then, don't forget that those are x's, not just numbers. A lot of people are forgetting about the x too. They're just putting a number there. Then they try to combine the 13 and the 12, which is wrong because we can't combine 13x and 12. Once you do that, you should know what to do because now it's just a two-step inequality. You have an x or a variable term on the left and a number, and then just a number on the right. Now, if we do 2 steps, we're done. If you did not get there, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that, rest of that on your own. It does come out to be a weird fraction. You don't need to change it to a. Oh, on the quiz, you will get one, at least one, that's a weird fraction, but it's multiple choice. So all you got to do is pick the correct answer, pick the correct fraction. I'm not sure if the other one that you work out, or the other ones, plural, I'm not sure if they come out to be nice round numbers or decimals or fractions or what, but with a calculator, it shouldn't matter. And, yeah. All right, so again, how do we know where to start when we do a two-step equation? Farthest away from variable. So there's the x, or save the variable for last, either one. So negative 1, negative 13x. Same as an equation, just we have an inequality sign. What's the next step? Yeah, if this is negative 13 times x, then we need to get rid of the negative 13. So the way to do that is to divide, do opposite math, always doing opposite math. That's why we subtracted 12. That's why we divide by negative 13. Well, whatever I do on one side, I do on the other side. If you want to convert that to a decimal, just to make sure you get the positive and negative part right, that's fine. If the answer though is a fraction, you need to know how to check it, like, make it back into a fraction. What is a negative divided by a negative? Positive. If the signs are the same, then it's positive. If the signs are different, it's negative. So x greater than 113. Pretty good. Why is it a fraction? Because we said 1 divided by 13. I mean, you could convert it to a decimal. Are you asking why is it positive or why is it? Because we had 1 over here, and we had to divide by 13, so that gives us fraction. Everybody's good. You look confused. Thank you, because you were all wrong till that. What did we divide by? Negative, right? When we divide it by a negative, do that. Yeah. Any questions? Because that's all I'm giving you. Now you're practicing, and we'll do the quiz at about, it didn't take them a super long time, so I'll probably give you up until 8:35. So you've got a good 40 minutes to practice. So I can walk around, help, you can work with each other. Do not sit there and do nothing.
I don't know what I thought. I got 13.
Oh, because you moved stuff probably to the other side.
So, but it's still right. But I didn't do that by a negative. So it's.
That's because you moved stuff to the other side.
So it's still right.
Did you get a positive also? Did you get a positive? So yeah, real quick, if some of you got positive, you go. If some of you got a positive, it's probably because you said plus 4x and then plus 4x. That would have a positive number over there. So you can do it either way, but you better get the same answer. And you didn't have to put the sign because the sign was already like this. Because the x was on the other side now. So it was still x is less than 1/13. Just the x's were on the right instead of the left. So yeah, there's always going to be two different options when if you have variables on both sides. Say that. Say x is less than 1/13. Tell me.
Because x is on this side.
But you always read it from where the x is. So it's showing alligator eats the bigger number. Again, read it from where the variable is. So is the alligator eating the 1/13? The 1/13 there. Oh, that's all. 1/13 is not 13. By 13.
Whoa, maybe I accidentally put 13 divided by 1.
Yeah, make sure you understand 1 divided by 13 is not 13. That is 1/13. That's like saying you have 13 pieces of pizza, that one of them is a full pizza, or is 13 pizzas. No, one of them is 1/13. Good Lord, girl. Why don't we have worksheets? You have worksheets. You should have 3 pages. One that's all by itself. I am going to put them up on the board, but you should have them. You've been working on them for a week, unless you've missed a week. And I can only put so many problems up at a time, so you'll have to work on the one. I'm going to put the multi-step inequalities up. Those are the ones oh, shoot, we got a graph too. I'm just going to really quickly go through a graph. I'm not even worried about if it's the right answer or not. Let's say you get, and this is actually what I'm doing on the quiz. I do not make you graph any of the problems that you solve. I just give you 2 problems and say, just graph these answers. So I've already given you the answers. That way there's no issues with anybody not being able to solve, and then therefore they can't graph. I just give you a problem. I say, graph this. R is greater than or equal to -2. And you just have to graph it. So I'll let you think about what you would do if you want to draw a little graph with -2 in the middle, and go ahead and graph it. Wait for a second, then I'll graph it on one of these graphs. I don't mind if you have a snack, if you have food. I don't have anything, but if you have something you want to eat while you're practicing, I can kind of walk around and monitor. Three. 36. That looks great. That looks great. That looks great. Did you know? That's the trick. Think that I mentioned about there. That's this. Last thing you did is math. You do inequalities when we divide by negative, and look at that too. We divide by a negative, we have to flip the sign. Forget that. That's kind of a big, I'd say that's a process error, which is a bigger mistake than that. I did.
No, this one.
You just wanted to use this to test the board.
I want to know when you wrote it, I was like, wow.
That one is definitely better there.
Yeah, it inspired me.
It's wow. Inspires somebody.
Like, oh, that's so perfect.
It's pretty symmetrical. That's called symmetrical.
So, it's perfect.
Symmetrical. No, go sit down. That's work. Oh, here, let me graph this real quick. So what's the first thing we do when we graph? So everybody better get the column. Like I'm just giving you an answer when I'm giving you two separate problems that are just graphing, no solving. So what's the first thing I do? Put a circle on the number. So that's -2. What's the next thing I have to check? See the symbol. How do we know if we fill it in? If we have this little line, which we do, then we need to fill in the circle. We don't have it, we don't fill it in. And make sure it's very clear. I don't give you the benefit of the doubt, meaning if I'm not sure if it's filled in or not, then it's wrong. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. So make sure you clearly fill it in or it is clearly open. So now I just have to do a shading left or right. It's always from where the variable is. So because the variable is all the possible answers. So I need all the numbers that are greater than, because I've already covered the equal to part, all the numbers greater than -2. Which direction is that? Yeah, right. Greater than is always to the right, less than is always left. Now, if the variable is on the right-hand side, if it would have been this, that makes it a little trickier. And I don't know if that comes up on the quiz in all honesty, but if it does, you still need to know that is all the answers are greater than -2. So this way. And that is not the answer to any of the problems up there. I just did that one to show you how to graph. Everybody better get the two graphs correct.
I think that's I should go. Because I had to when I was already I understand.
Oh, that can happen.
Well, is this right? Like so far? Because I combined 8 and negative or 8 and -8 and because no.
Where did you combine?
I just
Yeah, they got no. So if you already got 8, so that's multiplication. So again, you have negative, you're -8n. You owe me 8n. That's what negative is. You owe me 8. Now I come in and I say, give me another one. You can't. So how many do you owe me? Oh, you already owed me 8. I say, give me another one.
9.
You owe me 9. I just wasn't even have question.
You have no idea. Yeah.
Well, then you can wait. Fine. So a negative and a positive is not a negative. That's multiplication. We have to think if you have negative, I say n is a thing that you owe. Owing is negative. Negative thing. Or we want something. Owe me 5n. That one gives you 2 things. If you give me that, that would be it. No, you don't owe me more. You pay me 2.
I'm only going to use this. What? I'm only going to use this as a teacher. Me.
2 gave me.
I'm currently inside.
That's one.
I do.
Remember that.
You know you're going to play Roblox.
Either way, somehow though you got to remember. I don't want to see that out. You do not want to see that out. Well, I need to see working that.
Oh, yeah.
First thing you gotta know how to do is the quiz, then you do something great. Now, you can do my grade. Well, actually, you can do something great.
Everyone in the
This
class
quiz
was
could
fun.
not be that difficult to at least get a C on. It's the same exact thing you just did on the last quiz. Or a B or a C or. Oh wait. Somebody was waiting. Somebody waiting for that. Or no, you went. Yeah, you might need water. Okay. So phones up. I'm seeing way too many phones. You're about to lose your opportunity to use phones today. So you have a quiz today. I need to see more effort before a quiz and a lot less socializing or phone time. Drives me crazy when I'm giving you practice time right before a quiz, and I've already told you everything that's on it, and yet you're sitting there not doing anything.
What?
I've answered like 10 questions between the two of you.
Well,
And I even came to you and you didn't come.
I wasn't joking. I was joking. So I mean. Okay, we're kind of start this. Yeah. Number 15. I just start.
Okay,
Which is
plus 3.
Go up to
That's
First of all, you write the whole equation. One, negative. Okay, you can combine like rows. So this side doesn't have to show this side. Only have to do.
Plus 36.
Combine the two, right? You have to combine them terms. This doesn't have variables. This does. This doesn't have variables. These have do. So what's it? Anything like one.
That.
Negative 9. 8 minus negative 9. But then I get lost because then I don't know how to take a variable away. I took away 9 and added 9 to negative 6 on the other side. But then I have 2 variables and then not a variable. So that doesn't work. I don't know what to do now. And he won't help me. So if I fail, I'll just fall. Exactly. I'm just confused on now. So I'm like, we need to go to some stuff.
You're doing it. That's for us. Yes, you got to strap. So that should be right there.
It's great.
Never, we should never say you.
I just need to bring that. Yeah, I'm sports. I don't know much on sports.
Both sides.
Never had.
2 days here.
Uh,
You can't have ends on both sides. Just like you got rid of that.
Have you ever had a D? Well, clear your train. Last time I had an F was.
You should be able to.
That's why I don't want to read it. There's a 6. It's 30. No. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, that's like throughout it, but that's because teachers just want to do it. There you go. Not like I'm actually really confused.
Yep, I'll see you there in a minute.
Okay, if I feel turtle. It'll matter.
Okay, good question.
You have the words.
Oh,
She said, I was doing
that's the same house. Oh, that's the same one. Yeah. So this is here. Okay, so again, I just went over this in the third question I got on it. I will do it one more time, then I'm gonna be angry. If you have variables on, write this down, everybody, because if I don't see it on your paper, if you don't understand it, that's a little different. But if I don't see it on your paper, I'm walking away. So write, I don't care if you get it or not, because just in case you have a question later, I'll still walk away. If you have variables on both sides, and it really doesn't matter what stage you do it at, like I could combine these, I'll probably wind up doing the whole problem, but I could combine them, but I don't even really have to combine them. I can do them individually if I really want to. If there are variables on both sides, I have to think about, here's what you're writing, you have to think about getting rid of the variables on one of the sides. That's the key to solving when you have variables on both sides. I just had that question 3 times in a row, even though I just went over it. And emphasize it. When my voice gets really loud, that means it's important, or that I'm angry, which happens a lot. Yes, if you have variables on both sides, the way you fix that, or you continue to solve, is you get rid of them on one side. And that's the same way you get rid of anything. Numbers you normally are just going to add or subtract. So for example, I'm going to solve, well, you tell me which one you want out of those 4.
15.
All right, 15 wins. Because I actually have a bunch of stuff I have to do in that one, so that's pretty good. I have 2 variables here. I could just start getting rid of them right now. I could just say, to get rid of it, I do the opposite, plus 5n. That'll go away. -5 plus 5n. I'm sorry, -5n plus 5n goes away. And I've just told you, if you have variables on both sides, you need to get rid of them on one of the sides. I'm going to go ahead and combine them because we have the same variable, so we can combine them. Same letter, same variable, we can combine them. So negative, I'm not going to worry about the math. Hopefully you're getting down how to combine the numbers part. That is -11n. Over here, I'm just going to do baby steps. I have that still. I work one side at a time. I'm done on the left. There's nothing else I can do on the left. On the right, though, I have like terms. -8n subtract 8n. So I get -11n still. Again, I'm not going over the math behind it. That is -9n. Now, I have variables on both sides. So what did you just write on your paper when you have variables on both sides? You get rid of them on one side. It doesn't matter which side you get rid of them on. Now, the math will normally work out a little bit easier if you truly understand which side is better to do it on, but it doesn't matter. You should still get the same answer. I'm going to get rid of them on the right. I typically just always show you to get rid of them on the right, but if you wanted to do it on the left, this would work. Oh, if you got rid of them on the left, you'd be like, hey, everything's gone. I don't have anything left on the left. Then it's a 0. If there's nothing over on that side, you have to write a 0. 0 is a number. 0 is the number for nothing. This now goes away. -9n plus 9n is 0. It's gone. That's what I wanted to do. I got rid of them. That was the whole reason I did that. So whatever I do on one side, though, I have to do on the other side. Now you'll see we only have the variables on one side. That's the last step of pretty much any problem we do, which is what? 5. That is -2 times n. So if that's -2 times n, I have to do the opposite, which is divide. What do I have to remember to do, though? Yes, if I divided by negative, I have to flip that sign. If you would have added the 11n instead, you wouldn't flip the sign, because now the n's would be on the other side. They'd already be positive. You wouldn't need to flip it. But you should still get that same answer. So, again, if you had that same question, you better have written on your paper to get rid of variables when you have variables on both sides. I'm sorry, or when you have variables on both sides, think about getting rid of them on one side. Oh, wait. Yeah, that was an or equal to sign. So